Jordan, will you please call the roll?
Governor Kay Ivey. Chairman Bill Poole.
Here.
Vice Chairman Greg Reed. Senator Bobby Singleton.
Here.
Representative Anthony Daniels. Representative Danny Garrett.
Here.
Mrs. Brittany Somerville.
Here.
Mr. Dave King.
Here.
Mr. Abe Harper.
Here.
Dr. Michael Chambers. Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Having established a quorum, I will call this meeting of the Innovate Alabama Board meeting into order. I want to thank everybody again for taking time today. This is a virtual meeting. We have a couple of in-person meetings on the horizon for sake of scheduling and efficiency with time and effort. Glad we could call this meeting virtually today. We do have a very full agenda with a lot of substance to it. So before we begin, I will ask, all of our presenters, please make your points, reserve time for board members to have an opportunity to comment and ask questions. Do want to encourage everybody, notwithstanding that we are virtual, please do fully engage today. We do have a very full agenda. So with that, I will move us along. The first item before us today is to approve the minutes from the June 11, 2024 board meeting. I trust everybody has had an opportunity to review the minutes as provided in your packets. Do I hear any questions or a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
All
Dave
right.
King.
Second.
Abe Harper.
Thank you. A motion by Dave King, second by Abe Harper. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, we have adopted the minutes from the prior meeting. Cynthia, I'll turn the meeting over to you to discuss, at least initially, as we begin to move forward, Innovate Alabama's 2024 focus areas and status reports related thereto. Cynthia, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Poole. First off, thanks everyone for joining today. It's hard to believe that we are nearing the end of the fiscal year and shortly thereafter ending the calendar year. The team has been really busy, focused on executing, updating, and creating our programs to support the three pillars. And as you know, those are access to resources, talent development, and lifestyle and recreation, or outdoor rec as we call it. Primary focus for us has really been engaging the ecosystem. So we have attended several sessions to just make sure that we are engaging the ecosystem and understanding the programs that we've approved and how execution is going with those programs. A couple of things that I'll point out: we did support the sponsorship of SLOSS-TECH in Birmingham this year. That's a collaboration with Tech Birmingham. And really, we use that platform to roll out not just the SSBCI program, but also the SEEK campaign and some of the activation of the vans. So we did quite a bit of work, I think, in terms of just bringing focus to some of the goals that we're trying to achieve in regards to access to capital, but also in terms of sharing visibility along. Are you guys getting feedback? Okay. They're going to try to fix it in the room in the interest of
momentarily, but I think it's cleared enough.
Great. So in the interest of time, I'll keep moving. As we go into next year, again, we'll continue to focus on some of those programs, but we do have some new programs that'll be coming down the pike in 2025. So we'll hear more about those within the next few months. The SSBCI sessions, we've been doing some individual sessions across the state just to gain better exposure to the program itself and how it runs. That program is operational. Again, we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But we have been engaged with EDPA and Innovation Depot, just making sure that we engage the right audiences for that program. In addition to that, we've also visited with the Huntsville Chamber of Commerce, trying to help them better understand some of the programs and how they might work in the Huntsville space. We've been engaging Montgomery, which is coming online pretty strong now in terms of looking at other programs, network designation, even tax credits at this point that would apply to the city of Montgomery. In regards to program execution and design, I think we're continue to see strong performance on the SBIR, STTR program, as well as the tax credits that's gaining momentum, I think, across the state. If you look at some of the programs that we've exited with the SBIR, STTR program, we did have one recipient, Ripple Works, who actually just received a $10 million investment in their company, which is a pretty big deal for the state of Alabama when you think about venture. So we are starting to see some returns on those investments early as it is. We are not going to have an update on network designation, but for purposes of information, we'll share that we've processed over 151 applications over the last year. 112 of those have been approved. So again, still continuing to see strong performance on that program. We'll open up the next round in October is the plan right now. And that'll run us into probably late fall in terms of when we would close that out and then move on with the evaluation of those applications. To date, we've done about 17.2 million in projects and designations. And so again, very strong performance on that particular program, starting to see good returns. Regarding SSBCI, to my right, you guys are looking at Charlie Pond, who just recently joined us, responsible for execution of SSBCI. Charlie has been on board for what, 3 months now? 2 months?
Getting close to it.
Yeah, getting close to 3 months. We have started our transacting on SSBCI. Charlie will give you some updates on that. But again, we are moving out on that program. Does anyone have any questions about that intro? If not, then we will go right into Senator Singleton, if you would provide us the intro for talent development.
Thank you, Cynthia. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you for this opportunity to provide an update on our talent development initiative. Across multiple programs, we're seeing tremendous progress in building strong, innovative workforce in Alabama. Our efforts are spanning from high school students to college graduates with initiatives like the Alabama Data Scholars and the HBCU Innovation Experience, equipping young talent with critical skills in data science, providing them some real world experiences. Well, another program that we have that I'm really excited about is through Field Alabama. This program, we've expanded opportunities for college students across the state, connecting over 600 students with employers and fostering relationships between young professionals and their host communities. These summits and interns that we've been creating are being valuable pathways to long-term talent retention, ensuring Alabama remains a competitive hub for innovation. Finally, the Emerging Innovation Scholars Program, which is driving entrepreneurship across university students. The program has already seen several ventures achieve recognitions in business plan competition, further showcasing the potential for innovation-driven growth in the state. Together, these programs are addressing key workforce challenges and creating a pipeline of tech-savvy entrepreneurial talent that's essential for Alabama's future. We're not just preparing students for jobs, we're positioning Alabama as the leader in talent development and innovation. I'm excited for Shannon Allen, our program director for HBCU engagement, and I want her to dive a little bit deeper into where we're going on some current programs. We're looking at 2 new additional programs. One is going to be focusing on the Wiregrass region, and the other one program is about entrepreneurship programs for high school students. I want to turn the floor over to Shannon.
Today I'll be sharing progress on on our current programs and initiatives, followed by details on 2 new potential initiatives, the Alabama Cybersecurity Fellowship and the CEO program, both of which are poised to have a significant impact on Alabama's talent pipeline. At the end of June, we leveraged SLOS Tech 2024 to engage Alabama's young talent and showcase the tech and entrepreneurship opportunities available to them across the state. Almost 200 high school students, college students, and early professionals joined us for the engagement and were able to hear from people like Ron Griswold with HBCUs Outside, who emphasize Alabama's outdoor assets and why Alabama is an ideal place to live, work, and play. They were also able to hear from fellow student entrepreneurs who have started tech companies right here in Alabama. During this panel, the students discussed their journeys as entrepreneurs and why Alabama has been an ideal place for them to launch and grow their businesses. Our participants also engaged in a stirring keynote presentation and Q&A session with Shagan Otulana, CEO of Harmony Venture Labs, who also had the largest venture exit in Alabama history. Shagan shared insights and strategies with our attendees on why Alabama is a prime location to build a tech career or scale a company. Our participants also learned about many of the internship and job opportunities available to them at our first ever Employer Ice Cream Social, where they engaged in one-on-one conversations with several of Alabama's top employers. We capped off the engagement with a student pitch competition, awarding $5,000 to a tech company founded by 3 University of Alabama students. And now moving to our current programs, the Alabama Data Scholars Program, in partnership with QuantHub, continues to build momentum, preparing high school students for careers in data science, AI, and machine learning. This year, 26 students from 12 counties participated, working with 21 Alabama companies such as Southern Company and Tequila Automation. These internships allowed students to master more than 450 data skills, positioning them for high-paying jobs in fields that are increasingly in demand. Scholars like Kingston, who developed an AI chatbot for recruitment at Tequila Automation, and Irene, who gained hands-on experience with POE systems and data visualization at BBT Connects, exemplify how this program is helping students explore new career paths. This cohort of students graduated at the end of July, and the next iteration of this program for summer 2025 will include alumni programming, as well as the pursuit of an ALSDE work-based learning credential for Data Scholars Program participants. Next, the HBCU Innovation Experience, in partnership with the Alabama Collective, has continued to expand its reach to students across Alabama's historically Black colleges and universities. Through a partnership with EdFarm, the program delivered workshops on coding, app development, and cybersecurity, resulting in 93 Tech Pathways certificates being awarded to students. The focus on cybersecurity has been particularly successful, with 17 students earning A+ and Security Plus certifications through a 16-week training program in collaboration with Pivot Tech. The program also provided job placement assistance, ensuring that students have the resources and support needed to enter Alabama's tech workforce. Additionally, this program has hosted events in partnership with the Department of Air Force Information Technology and Cyber Power, as well as Auburn University, which have deepened engagement and collaboration with the HBCU community by highlighting tech professionals and stakeholders across the state within government and industry and promoting pathways to entrepreneurship. The Fuel Alabama program, in partnership with EDPA, addresses the critical challenge of retaining top talent in the state. This year, the program engaged over 600 students in 10 host communities, immersing them in Alabama's unique blend of business opportunities and cultural experiences. Through the Fuel Alabama Summit, students were able to tour facilities, network with business leaders, and discover the potential of local industries. The Central Alabama Summit, for example, featured visits to the Honda Assembly Plant and SLOS Tech 2024, while the Gulf Coast Summit involved discussions with executives at OA Parks and Resort. This program has successfully helped students see the value of building their futures in Alabama. The Emerging Innovation Scholars Program has taken major steps toward fostering entrepreneurial talent across the state. In partnership with the University of Alabama, this program engages students in developing their own ventures. This past year, 79 students from 23 states and 31 majors participated. Multiple teams have gone on to have success in other business competitions in Alabama and beyond, demonstrating the reach and success of this program. The early qualitative survey results that we've received indicate a positive trend in participants' perception of building a future right here in Alabama. These milestones show the powerful impact that entrepreneurial education can have on students' futures, equipping them with the skills and competence to launch their own ventures. We're excited to announce the expansion of this program to 4 additional institutions: Talladega College, Stillman College, University of North Alabama, and University of South Alabama. These expansions will allow us to reach even more students and nurture their entrepreneurial potential. Altogether, these 4 programs represent an investment of over $2.5 million to date, involving more than 40 colleges and universities and reaching over 3,000 students across Alabama. The success stories coming out of these programs illustrate the incredible potential of our talent pipeline. So on to a couple of new initiatives. The Alabama Cybersecurity Fellowship, in partnership with Advantage Consulting and Solutions, is a new prospective initiative aimed at developing critical cybersecurity talent in Alabama. This program will be piloted in the Wiregrass region with the potential to expand across the state. In partnership with local community colleges, this program will provide over 320 hours of specialized training in areas like cybersecurity frameworks, vulnerability management, and penetration testing. This training will take place above and beyond the students' normal course loads and outside of their class hours. The fellowship is designed to give students hands-on experience with cutting-edge cybersecurity tools and practices, preparing them for high-demand roles in both the public and private sectors. Similar to a paid internship, students will have the opportunity to learn critical skills while also providing value to the companies that they engage with. The stipends that the students receive can be utilized to further their skills and qualifications by covering things like the cost to receive their Cybersecurity A+ and Security Plus certifications. Key industry partners, including Construction Partners Incorporated, Fort Novacell, and federal agencies like the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, will engage with students through workshops and other learning initiatives, giving them real-world insights and professional networking opportunities. The program also has a strong focus on retaining local talent, aiming to keep graduates working in Alabama. The Alabama Cybersecurity Fellowship is a comprehensive initiative designed to meet the immediate needs of Alabama's cybersecurity landscape while laying the groundwork for long-term economic growth. Lastly, we're excited to pursue a partnership with the CEO program, a hands-on entrepreneurial education initiative in collaboration with Decatur Morgan CEO. The CEO program is designed to immerse high school students in real-world business environments by connecting them directly with local entrepreneurs and businesses. Instead of learning in a traditional classroom setting, students will meet daily in local businesses, allowing them to see firsthand the challenges and successes of running a company. Students will experience real-world opportunities like pitching to real bank professionals to receive funding for their ventures and adventures. Each student will also create and launch their own business by the end of the year, which will serve as a capstone experience. Recently, the CEO program launched the 1 to 100 competition between 2 student teams, one from Madison and one from Decatur. Each of the students was given $1 and challenged to turn that dollar into $100 over the course of 8 days. By the end of the competition, 28 students had turned $28 into a little over $15,000 through various business ventures. This entrepreneurial drive and commitment that these students learned and demonstrated are exactly what we are hoping to instill in students across the state through the expansion of the program. This program has operated in Decatur and Madison for several years, and this expansion will focus on potential targeted communities across the state, including Athens, Monroeville, Utah, and Woodlawn, where it will play a key role in helping students build connections within their local business communities. Previous results from the CEO program in Alabama have shown that 40% of students could see themselves working for a business in their community, and a 48% increase in community belonging was observed among participants. This initiative is not only about education, it's about building stronger local communities by retaining talent and fostering business creation within these communities. Our talent development initiatives are driving meaningful change across Alabama. Whether it's equipping students with cutting-edge tech skills, fostering entrepreneurship, or retaining talent, these programs are laying the foundation for a stronger, more innovative Alabama. With the addition of programs like the Alabama Cybersecurity Fellowship and the expanded CEO program, we are set to continue this momentum and to ensure that Alabama becomes a hub for talent, innovation, and economic growth. That concludes my update. Thank you, Senator Singleton, and I'll turn it back to you.
Mr. Chairman, I want to just thank you also, Shannon, for that great report. And Mr. Chairman, I'm excited about the talent that we are investing here in the state of Alabama. I do have two resolutions as housekeeping matters. And if you would entertain the resolutions for me, Mr. Chairman, one resolution will be the Alabama Cybersecurity Fellowship. If you would entertain that for me, please, sir.
Sure. So I think we need two approvals today, but before we take those up, we've heard a pretty impressive report from Shannon. Are there any comments from board members or questions as related to the totality of Shannon's report before we take up the individual approvals that are needed?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Sure.
This is
Yeah.
really good to the Wiregrass budget. And Shannon, you did a beautiful job of explaining these. So good job to you. And I'm in love with both of these programs. We're a question on the budget though. The 20 students that will be served through the 336,000 request is how much of that is replicable so that more than 20 students? Is the 20 students just for the student pay and we'll be able to, and that's the 96,000 and we'll be able to use the rest again to apply to another cohort? Or every time we serve 20, do we need to approve this amount again?
So a lot of these costs that are outlined in this budget, particularly the learning management system, the custom development, the developed training modules, and the lab environment, those are more setup fees that won't be repeated in future years. But things like the live instructor training, the student pay, those would be expenses that we would incur as we do future cohorts. But towards the top of the budget, those items are definitely just set up items that won't have to be replicated.
Okay, so thank you. And just to note to the other board members, those are two of the lower expense items on that budget. That makes me feel better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or general comments on the totality of our talent and retention programmatic update before we take the two approvals up?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want to echo Ms. Somerville's comments to Shannon with regard to the effectiveness and the energy behind this. This is really great to hear, especially from somebody that plays in the sandbox of cybersecurity and the entrepreneurial IT space all day, every day. So I'm really excited to see this getting some traction in the state. There's a lot of businesses and a lot of segments of our state that are going to be very well served by these young people that we're training and culturing to remain here. So great work to the team. Please keep it up.
Thank you, Abe. Any other board members? All right, we'll take these up one at a time. I would first like to just recognize, I know we talked about the Data Scholars Program, recognize Chairman Garrett and his colleagues in the legislature provided funding specifically for that Data Scholars Program that I think is a super impressive program. So thank you, Chairman Garrett, for that, and want the board to be aware of that. So we have two approvals before us. The first will be for the cybersecurity and risk management proposal. I would note for board members that there are draft sample resolutions under tab 8 for all of the resolutions we will take up today. That doesn't mean board members, you're all free, of course, to ask questions, offer amendments, offer alternative resolutions, but that is an effort to make sure that our minutes accurately reflect the resolutions and the intent of the same on the go forward. So I will call as we move through the day for adoption. I will reference the related draft resolution, but certainly board members, you're all aware, you're not tied to the draft as it's written in any form or fashion. So with that, there is a draft resolution for the cybersecurity and risk management proposal. Are there questions, concerns, or is there a motion for that resolution as presented or as amended? Do I hear a motion to
Seeing none,
adopt the
Mr.
draft?
Chairman, I'd like to move forward with the resolution.
Okay. We have
And
a
I'll
first,
second.
and we have a second. Any questions before we vote? All in favor of adoption, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. All right, the cybersecurity and risk management proposal and resolution related thereto as drafted and provided in the board packet is adopted. Next, we'll move to the Decatur Morgan CEO expansion proposal. Again, I will reference the draft resolution in tab 8 of the packet unless there are amendments or alternatives there too. Are there any questions, comments, or do I hear a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, those two proposals have been approved. Thank you very much, Senator Singleton, Shannon, for the report on the talent development. A lot of activity there. Very excited and appreciate that. I'll turn it back over to you, Cynthia.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next up, we'll have the review for SBIR STTR Supplemental Grant Funding Program. And Mr. Dave King will give us that introduction, please.
Thank you, Cynthia. Mr. Chairman, we're pleased to present the status of the supplemental grant funding program. We've closed another round. I think that's 5 rounds over a 2-year period. And we continue to experience strong interest in this program. This was, as I said, the 5th round, and the program's officially been in existence for those 2 years. As we evaluate what we're going to do in 25, we've had a number of questions come up, either from folks who have proposed or from ourselves, or ways that we can improve this program or adjust the program to fit better more companies. And we're going to be looking at some of those potential changes next week when we're together. I think we've got a committee meeting while we're in Birmingham next week. So we'll probably make some tweaks and enhancements that will make this program continue to have the impact that it has had for many entrepreneurs. I was with one today who at a luncheon that told me it's made a big difference in their ability to move forward on some innovative products. So I continue to be encouraged by it. We're also pleased to see companies that have leveraged the Innovative Alabama funding to do much more. So it's cutting edge research. It's incredible potential that's represented by these dollars, and we're committed to helping the innovators grow through these dollars. With that, I'll ask Miller Gervin to present some of the details.
Great. Thank you, Dave. So as Dave mentioned, we closed out the most recent round of the SBIR and STTR supplemental funding in July. And we saw 5 companies receive just over $700,000 this round. And those companies were headquartered in Huntsville, Auburn, Prattville, and Birmingham. So we had some good geographic diversity there across the state. So as Dave mentioned, we have now been awarding these supplemental funds for 2 years. And in those 2 years, over 5 rounds of funding, we have awarded money to 68 unique companies. And some of those companies have gotten both phase 1 and phase 2 awards. $14 million has been deployed, and as we track those companies, they provide reporting every 6 months. We ask them about jobs created and jobs retained. And so that 415, we actually are just over that 415 number of jobs created and jobs retained in just 2 years. So really excited to see the results of that program and that money is bearing fruit for the growth of entrepreneurship in Alabama. So that is money that is providing those companies the ability to bolster the research that they're doing, to hire needed talent, to buy equipment, and in some cases, move their companies to the great state of Alabama. And additionally, those companies are leveraging the Innovate Alabama funds into much larger investments. So as Cynthia mentioned at the top of the meeting, we have one recipient company, RippleWorks, that is based in Huntsville that has raised a $10 million Series A round of funding. That valuation is close to $40 million. Y'all, that's a real company, and that is awesome. And it is remaining headquartered in Alabama after this investment. And not only is it remaining here and growing here, Angie Sandritter, the CEO there, has offered to introduce their investor around to some of the companies in Alabama that could be potential portfolio companies. So I just wanted to highlight this quote from Angie because this was an unsolicited email from her, and just really thought it spoke to the value that Innovate Alabama is providing to these small companies and just the growth trajectory of these companies. So I'm not going to read it to y'all because you can all read, but I just wanted to highlight that because I thought it was great. So now that as Dave mentioned, now that we've really sort of we've gotten some money out the door, we've gotten some initial results, we're providing value to those companies. We are going to take some real time to assess the value and the best way to continue providing value to those research-based companies. And I say the words research-based very intentionally because while they are research-based, I mean, that is the foundation of SBIR and STTR federal awards. Innovate Alabama is also very committed to funding companies that are commercializing products and that will grow into market-ready products and take that research and make it something real. So you can see on this slide that we do have a lot to discuss in that meeting that Dave referenced that we're going to have next week. But it really is everything from an potential increase to the cap of that funding. So right now it is set at $350,000. And there's a 3-year time horizon on those. So working through exactly what that cap should be or could be that would be meaningful to the recipients, as well as exactly what that time cap is. And then we've also discussed some of the Alabama employee requirements. So currently that sits at you have to have 50% of your executive headcount here in Alabama, as well as 50% of your workforce. And as we all know, in this post-COVID world, remote work is real, and at some level it's here to stay. So figuring out exactly what that right number is in terms of Alabama headcount. We want those jobs in Alabama. We want to grow as many as we can here, but we also don't want it to be a real prohibitor to growth of those companies here in the state. So we also have been approached about other federal programs that provide grants to these types of companies. SBIR and STTR was a great place to start, but there are other highly vetted programs at the federal level. And we just want to understand more about the vetting that goes on there and whether those could be a good fit to expand this program. So the last piece I'll mention is just on those out-of-state recipients. So we, of course, want more companies to grow and thrive in Alabama. And you'll recall that in the 2023 legislative session, tweaks were made to the governing statute to allow out-of-state companies to apply for this funding, provided they fully relocate their companies within 12 months after receiving it. And to date, 4 companies from outside of Alabama have taken advantage of that, and I'm happy to report they are in the process of setting up shop in Auburn, Huntsville, and Birmingham. And we do want to keep that momentum going. So we'll be working with, actually, the EDPA Business Intelligence Center has done a lot of work identifying some promising prospects. And then we will work with Paratus as well on the communication side to market those funding opportunities more thoroughly and also in a very targeted way, and making sure that those companies know the advantages that they could have growing in Alabama, both, of course, receiving supplemental funding, but also taking advantage of other opportunities that our state has for them. So that is the future at the moment, and stay tuned for any changes that might be made and where our committee lands on some of this reassessing for 2025 and beyond. But thank you, Dave. Happy to turn it back to you, but also happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Miller? Let me just say, Miller and her team is a joy to work with. Dr. Chambers and I really enjoy this. It's a fun thing to get together and see what's going on across the state and to help these folks along the way. And you can see the results speak for themselves. So thanks to your team. And with that, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes our presentation on supplemental grant program.
All right. Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Miller. I echo Dave's comments, all the work that this team does. Dr. Chambers, I don't think is with us today, but has put a lot of time into this as well. And I think this has certainly been one of the highlights and successes of Innovate Alabama to date. So thank you all for the time and effort that you put into this initiative specifically. Back to you, Cynthia.
Okay, wonderful. Next up is the SSBCI program, and Representative Daniels, if you would give us the introduction, please. I'm sorry. Why do I always do that? I am so sorry. Representative Garrett.
That's fine, no problem at all. Thank you. Good to be with you today. We'll report on the State Small Business Credit Initiative, SSBCI program. As you recall, this is the federal program where Alabama received $97.9 million under the American Rescue Plan. Our application was approved by the Treasury Department in June, and the governor announced it officially on June the 18th. As Cynthia mentioned, this program was introduced and presented to entrepreneurs, small business owners, investors, and lenders at the tech conference at Schloss Tech back in the latter part of June. And since then, they've been working across the state to promote the program. You recall there's two aspects of the program. One is Lend AL, which is a debt program, $72 million that provides for loan guarantees, loan participations, and collateral support. And Invest AL, which is venture equity program, which is $25 million. And this is for fund of funds and co-investment. Today, we have a report from our new director of the Alabama SSBCI program, Charlie Pond. He will share about the progress and what's been going on since the approval has been granted. And also, Mr. Chair, we do have one resolution that we'll take up after the presentation. So at this point, I'd like to recognize Mr. Pond.
Thank you, Representative Garrett, and good afternoon. My name is Charlie Pond, and I have the pleasure of serving as Executive Director for Alabama SSBCI here at Innovate Alabama. It's been a busy few months since our last update, and most importantly, I'm proud to officially report, as we've touched on, we are operational and have officially launched Alabama's SSBCI programs. We are actively closing transactions across the state of Alabama, and I'd like to begin by thanking and congratulating everyone in this room and on the call and beyond who have worked so hard over the last few years to make this a reality. I appreciate the opportunity to provide an update to the board on the initial performance of Alabama's State Small Business Credit Initiative and its programs Lend AL and Invest AL. As you know, these programs were designed to enhance small business growth by improving access to capital, mitigating risk, and becoming a catalytic force for entrepreneurship in the state of Alabama. And I'm pleased to share the progress and the early outcomes we've observed over the past 2 months. But before diving into the metrics, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on the successful launch of our SSBCI programs during Schloss Tech. As Representative Garrett referenced and Cynthia referenced, and I think everybody on our team will eventually reference, Schloss Tech is Alabama's premier tech conference held annually in Birmingham. And after Governor Ivey's announcement just a few days earlier, it was no wonder that the conference attendees were excited and eager to learn more about Lend AL and Invest AL. Through main stage presentations and more intimate discussions at the SSBCI Loft, we engaged with the community of entrepreneurs, small business owners, investors, and lenders, and laid a strong foundation for the rollout of these programs statewide. Sessions included conversations with our program managers, Rodney Sampson and Walt Postlewaite, as well as representatives from the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, our technical assistance partners, and intellectual currency. We were thrilled to see the high level of media coverage for the event, as well as the immediate impact to our pipeline from interested borrowers and founders across the state. So turning to performance. As a reminder, SSBCI programs allocated funds from the U.S. Treasury in tranches. So we're actively working to expend, obligate, and transfer our initial $27 million we received in tranche 1. So I'll begin with Lend AL. Our Lend AL program is led by Walt Postlewaite, who's provided several updates to this board in the past. LendAL provides credit enhancements to encourage banks and credit unions to extend credit to small businesses that might not meet traditional lending standards. LendAL's offerings include, as Representative Garrett noted, the Wallace Howard Wills Loan Guarantee Program, which reduces lender risk through partial loan guarantees. The Loan Participation Program, in which Innovate Alabama partners with private lenders by sharing loan risks on a last out, first loss basis. And the Collateral Support Program, which helps businesses secure loans by providing collateral support in the form of pledged cash accounts held on deposit. To date, LendAL has received over 100 borrower inquiries, reflecting broad interest from across the business community in Alabama. These inquiries represent $48 million in dollars requested, with a median loan size of $70,000. It's interesting about many of these borrowers that they're enrolling in the process prior to engaging a lending partner. So it's increased the need for our team to build out very sound referral processes for both our technical assistance partners and our approved lenders. And to date, we've referred over 41 interested borrowers to TA while sending 20 applicants over to lenders directly. And the early results are promising. The team has approved or closed 8 transactions. We have an additional 7 transactions submitted by lenders. We're actively working their way through the approval and compliance process. These transactions represent $2.27 million worth of SSBCI funds across the 3 sub-programs. The average loan size right now is $308,000, and we have transactions ranging from as low as $10,000 to $2 million. I'll note that we have a rigid process in place to ensure that we're operating in compliance with U.S. Treasury requirements. To that end, I'm happy to report that we are currently achieving our U.S. Treasury objectives with this program. In addition, we're already seeing the seeds for a self-sustaining program that we envision for SSBCI through our early program income return. If you take a look at the map on the right side of your screen on the side, you'll notice that we are receiving inquiries from across the state. This data is mapped to the zip code of the borrower who submitted that inquiry. And our mission, of course, is to be statewide. So I'm really proud of these results to this point. And a critical component of achieving our statewide mission and our goals is developing that robust pipeline of transactions. We have to partner with our enrolled lenders and stay relevant and top of mind. So that's both a challenge and an opportunity moving forward. If you'll advance slide. To date, we have approved and enrolled 21 lenders in the program, which you see on the screen is one more than SSBCI 1.0. But we have a lot of work to do. We have several more applications in process, and we've got conversations ongoing with some of the larger institutions in the state that haven't yet enrolled in the process. I'm especially excited to see the activity from our CDFI partners who are helping us engage underserved markets. Deepening relationships and staying relevant with lenders across the state is definitely a top priority for LendAL as we close out the year. TC, if you'll move on to the next slide. I'm going to transition to our Invest AL program led by Rodney Sampson. We target high growth businesses with the goal of fostering innovation and job creation in communities throughout Alabama. And so far, I'm really pleased with the work Rodney and team have done in ramping up our venture capital program. We're off to a really strong start. As a reminder, Invest AL has an industry agnostic investment thesis and is composed of 2 sub-programs. First, the co-invest program, in which Innovate Alabama makes direct investment alongside lead investors in high growth startups, and our fund to funds program, in which Innovate Alabama invests and becomes a limited partner in venture capital funds that support Alabama-based startups. For the co-investment program, since we went live with our intake process in late June, we've seen over 130 companies start applications to pitch our investment team. Of these, 65 have completed and submitted full applications. The application is thorough and requires some extra homework for companies who might not yet be venture ready. So that explains some of the fallout there. But if you look at the dispersion map on the right side of the slide, you'll see some expected concentration in urban centers where we have strong startup ecosystems. But I'm really pleased to see applications from several other parts of the state, which may not be traditional bastions for startups and venture. After the initial screening of those companies who have submitted the applications to pitch, we'll select companies to move on to formally pitch our team. To date, the investment team has heard 29 pitch presentations. We have 9 investments currently in due diligence, and it demonstrates a strong and growing pipeline. We're seeing more and more applications and selections every week. Once a company moves into due diligence, I will reiterate, we have a really strong legal and compliance process that runs concurrently to our due diligence process. The conclusion of these reviews, the team is making their recommendations for investment. And as of today, InvestAL has committed $1.65 million to 4 portfolio companies through our co-invest program. These investments span critical sectors such as critical industries such as energy, technology, and healthcare. The dollar amounts range from $100,000 to $1 million investment. Over the next several weeks, we will be releasing more details about these high-profile and catalytic investments into Alabama founders and startups. I'm really excited. In addition to that, we anticipate expending 100% of our co-invest tranche 1 allocation over the next several months. Turning to fund to funds, the RFP for that program closed on July 12th. We received complete applications from 7 funds, 4 in-state and 3 from out of state, and the team is currently engaged in legal due diligence. We plan to inform the funds of our investment decisions by the end of September. Investment amounts range from $500,000 to $1 million per fund. By the time we meet again in December and we provide a new update, we'll anticipate having fully obligated the fund to funds allotment for tranche 1. Before I conclude, I'd like to talk briefly about our focus for the rest of the year. As we move forward, we will prioritize the following opportunities, addressing the challenges we face as a program. The first challenge is expanding outreach efforts. As we've talked about and discussed, a part of our commitment to expanding awareness and accessibility of the SSBCI programs, we've partnered with EDPA and local lenders to take SSBCI on the road. Walt and Rodney recently sat down for a panel discussion at Coffee and Collisions held at Innovation Depot here in Birmingham. The event brought together small business owners, entrepreneurs, and investors in an engaging environment to learn more about getting program ready. The feedback we received from attendees was awesome, and we are looking to replicate the event statewide. SSBCI Coffee and Collisions will make additional stops in key cities across Alabama in the future months, including Huntsville, Montgomery, Dothan, and Mobile. At each stop, we'll provide local entrepreneurs in-depth presentations about our SSBCI programs. The events are designed to foster collaboration, answer questions, and help small businesses access the resources they need to grow. We're also being intentional about visiting and engaging with founders, small businesses, and lenders in other areas of the state as well. So more to come. Our second opportunity is continuous improvement. We will closely monitor and evaluate performance metrics, including loan repayment rates, application throughput, statewide participation, and overall impact, as well as feedback from our ecosystem partners so that we can refine our processes as needed. We are actively working to improve our communication processes and deliver an exceptional experience for all founders and small businesses who engage SSBCI and Innovate Alabama. The third opportunity is to enhance collaboration. We have to deepen our collaboration with financial institutions and enroll additional lenders in the program that will help build our pipeline and improve throughput for LendAL. But in addition, we have to continue to integrate with our technical assistance partners at SBDC and Mobile CAN, which is a top priority for us. Finally, most importantly, I would argue, U.S. Treasury reporting compliance. Quarterly and annual reporting requirements are critical to ensuring program accountability and integrity, and to monitor performance. Proper compliance with these requirements is also key to unlocking additional program funds for SSBCI. It is a top priority for both program teams, as we thankfully now have transactions to actually report. In conclusion, Alabama SSBCI is off to a great start. As we continue to close transactions, we are on track and anticipate expending, obligating, and transferring at least 80% of Tranche 1 this calendar year, allowing Innovate Alabama to apply for access to Tranche 2 funds soon after. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions the board may have.
Charlie, I have a couple of questions. One, can you go back to that LendAL slide? So here you mentioned the lenders enrolled, no, the one you were on, the next one, the one you had before. Yeah. So you mentioned that you had not engaged with some of the larger lenders. My question is that helpful or hurtful? Does that dilute the participation of these other lenders? Kind of what's our thinking on that?
Yeah, we've started to engage the larger lenders. I think from an optics standpoint, it's good to have our key partners across the state at financial institutions at the table. But also we have a challenge and a mission to target underserved markets. And so relying on community banks is a key priority for us, and we're constantly in conversation. I know Walt is reaching out on a weekly and monthly basis with these lenders to stay top of mind and get transactions in top of funnel. So I don't think it will dilute it, but I think I would love to have every financial institution in the state signed up and enrolled in the program.
Thank you. And Cynthia, this may not be the right time for this, but is this we've had some discussions with the Alabama Securities Commission just about their efforts. Is this appropriate time to kind of talk about where that stands?
Probably, I think it's more appropriate in Brittany's
Okay.
Brittany's presentation. But do you have some specific comments, or do you
No, we'll just wait. I just wanted to make sure people understood there had been discussions with them and just kind of hear about that. We'll wait on Brittany's report. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Chairman Garrett, for all of the summary there. Charlie did a great job of running through all of those issues. Get back to my notes. I do appreciate the repeated emphasis on compliance. We're dealing with federal dollars and federal programming here, and those compliance factors are very, very, very important. So appreciate the continued acknowledgement there. We have a draft resolution in the packet. That resolution substantively, and Cynthia, Charlie, I would invite you to correct me, recognizes Charlie's addition on staff. And so we're amending our authorization protocol so that Charlie has authorization authority relative to the approval areas as outlined in that resolution. Have I correctly summarized the intent of that resolution, Cynthia and Charlie?
You have. That's exactly what it's for, to
Right.
recognize that Charlie is on board and give him approval authority for specific transactions.
All right, sounds great. Well, with that, if there are any questions or concerns or comments, please raise them. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution either as offered in the packet or as amended.
I'll offer a motion that we accept the resolution as presented, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. We have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Thank you both. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, thank you. Cynthia, back to you.
Okay, moving on into, so thank you, Representative Garrett and Charlie for that update. Moving on into tax credits. Is Representative Daniels on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. If you are ready with your intro.
All right. Give me 1 second. Are you? So thank you, Cynthia. I have the pleasure of introducing the status of the Innovate Alabama tax credit program. We're excited to continue advancing our ecosystem with the introduction of 8 new project applicants for our third round of tax credits for 2024. We're pleased to announce that the Bessemer Industrial Development Board, Birmingham Business Alliance, Randolph County Economic Development Authority, and Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce have been granted the EDO status. In this round, we receive a total of 8 project applications and are recommending approval for 5. These include existing EDOs, Apollo Foundation, Inc., Bronze Valley Corporation, and the Economic Development Partnership of Alabama, Inc. all of which are state EDOs and Prosper Foundation, a local EDO. Additionally, we are recommending the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce, a new entrant, and a local EDO for the tax credit in the third round. We're thrilled to see these organizations continue their efforts to strengthen and expand the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And so at this time, I'll turn it back over to you, Cynthia, to present these applications.
Okay, so as Representative Daniel said, the program is certainly picking up momentum. We only have remaining this calendar year $5.9 million in credits. And if you approve all of those credits today that we are proposing, then we would have only around $28,000 left in credits for the remainder of this calendar year. So on the one hand, it's exciting and that the program is certainly picking up momentum across the state. But similar to some of the other programs, SBAR, STTR supplemental grant program, supplemental grant funding program, we will be taking a look at some changes to the program as we move forward because it is extremely competitive at this point. So the first project that we're looking at, this organization, Apollo Foundation, this is the same organization, Mid-City Accelerator. So they are currently enrolled in the program. The request today is continuing the work that they're doing, specifically in the Huntsville area. They are requesting $889,750 to continue their tech accelerator. We are recommending $756,288,000. Again, for the most part, that the change on that delta is looking at that 15% reduction so that we could approve the total of 5 critical programs. Our expectation is that these organizations will realign their budgets to accommodate the changes that we're proposing. Do you want to approve them separately or all each as we go?
So, board members, if we have any conflicts of interest, then we are, I think it is advisable for us to take these up independently without being specific at this early phase. Does anybody have any conflict of interest as it relates to these applicants? That may dictate how we need to proceed.
Mr. Chairman, will you remind us the criteria of a conflict of interest?
Cynthia, can you or Dan probably answer that better than I can?
So is Dan on the line? I will if Dan's not on the line.
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Hey, yeah, Ms. Somerville, it would be if you have any kind of direct financial benefit that you can receive from the board taking this action. So, for example, if there was an instance before the board that you or a spouse or a member of your immediate family had an ownership in or some kind of financial benefit in, you would need to disclose that to the board, and then you'd need to abstain from the vote. The board could still take a vote, could still approve whatever action if the board decided to, but you would just have to kind of, disclose your involvement and then take a step back and not have any involvement in the approval of the action.
Okay, thank you. To that end, I need to abstain from the endeavor vote.
Okay, so we will have at least one conflict. So why don't we then take these up one at a time as they are summarized? Summaries are provided in the packet at tab 6. Our team has summarized the Apollo Foundation tax credit approval. Before I ask for a motion to second on that, I would ask for a disclosure of any potential conflicts of interest. And I think this goes without saying, but if you're not sure, just go ahead and disclose and abstain. All right, hearing none, would entertain a motion to approve the Apollo Foundation Inc. tax credit application.
So moved, Dave King.
Have a motion
Second, Abe Harper.
and have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Apollo Foundation tax credit is approved. Cynthia?
Next up is Bronze Valley Venture Lab. Again, this is an existing project that's ongoing. This is just simply renewal of that program. This particular organization is requesting $2.9 million, again, for the same 15% reduction. We're recommending $2,465,000 for this particular project. And again, it continues their cohorts that they're looking at underrepresented entrepreneurship in technology. It's technology focused, innovation focused. And again, this is a renewal.
Any questions? Any conflicts? All right, here none, would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Chairman, Abe Harper.
Thank you.
Second, Anthony.
All right, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Application approved. Cynthia?
Okay, the next application is submitted from EDPA, Economic Depart. EDPA, let's just call it that. This particular application is for Endeavor and their Founders Fellowship Program. They are requesting $280,500. We are recommending $238,425. Economic Development Partnership of Alabama. There, brain kicked in.
I think we've heard of them before.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
All right, are there any conflicts?
I'll abstain.
Okay, Brittany Somerville, let the minutes reflect, will abstain from this vote. Any other conflicts? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman, Abe Harper. Couldn't get off mute, sorry.
All right, you and Dave have got the machine going, so need you guys to keep moving along here. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. We've noted an abstention. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, application approved. Cynthia?
Okay, the next application, I'm excited. This represents one of the first usage of the Montgomery area on the tax credit program. This one's for the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce. They're looking at establishing a DoD accelerator incubation education capability focused on DoD space for cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and data analytics. They are requesting $1.3 million. We are recommending approval for $1,105,000.
All right, any questions? Any conflicts or potential conflicts, I should say? All right, hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Application approved. Thank you, Cynthia.
The final application that we're recommending approval for is for the Prosper Foundation. As you know, that's in Birmingham. This is continuation. They are already enrolled in the program. This is continuation of their programming. They're requesting $1,554,677. We are recommending approval again, same 15% reduction. $1,312,916 is what we're recommending.
All right, questions? Potential conflicts? Do I hear a motion?
So move.
All right, have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Application approved. I think, Cynthia, that was our final tax credit application to be considered today. I would note, I should have noted before we started our voting that the applicants that were not approved are also listed under tab 6 for the board's knowledge awareness and for follow-up questions as necessary and appropriate. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Cynthia.
Okay. Moving right along, we will move into our final area for access to capital. And Ms. Somerville, if you would, we're going to look at the Innovate Alabama Capital Access Initiative and the Venture Lab.
Okay, great. So I'm excited to introduce a new program to you all today called the Innovate Alabama Capital Access Initiative, also known as IACAI. As you might recall from the Alabama Innovation Commission report, the commission offered several recommendations for us to consider, and we'll address these recommendations by establishing an advisory council. With that, we'll engage the following: identify barriers to capital, including regulatory barriers and also some strategies to approach those. Further innovate Alabama's purpose to foster a robust investment ecosystem that supports innovation and economic growth in Alabama. Evaluate current access to capital programs and also assess the competitiveness of these programs against other states. We've made great strides with the supplemental grant funding and the SSBCI programming, but there's still a lot of work to be done. The initiative will provide a deeper dive into the additional barriers that we need to overcome as a state. The resulting council recommendations will address capital access, generation, and deployment, including strategies for in-state and out-of-state investor participation, as well as investor education. In the spirit of providing entrepreneurs with resources, this initiative will provide recommendations to address early stage capital needs for Alabama's startups and small businesses. The advisor council, serving at the direction of the Innovate Alabama Board, will provide recommendations on a programmatic strategy to increase access to early stage capital, alleviating capital formation regulatory burdens, and developing a sustainable solution for capital deployment. If approved by the board, the council will convene for 12 months to review and adopt the proposed charter that was in your board packet, and also finalize the work plan for the next year and provide recommendations that will be executed by the Innovate Alabama team. Mr. Chairman, we have a resolution today to create the Innovate Alabama Capital Access Initiative, and we're requesting authorization of $500,000 in funding to support the setup and the activities of the council.
All right. Thank you, Brittany, for that summary. I will want to thank you. A lot of work and thought process has gone into this proposal. It certainly tracks back to the Innovation Commission as a recommendation, but Brittany, Cynthia, and a number of others have really worked hard to establish this proposal as a framework to move forward to create additional policy recommendations. So open the floor for any questions or thoughts regarding the proposal as summarized by Brittany this afternoon.
Representative Garrett, per your question earlier, this is actually where we are addressing some of the regulatory items that we spoke about earlier regarding the registration and advisors.
And Chairman Garrett, I don't know if you want to expand a little further into some of those discussions at this point, or if you want to, infuse that into the conversations of this advisory group.
No, I don't have anything to report. I'm just curious about the status. We did have a couple of discussions with them, and that's just something we've got our eye on. I'm sure this group will take that and, respond appropriately.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so we have a draft resolution to authorize the establishment of this advisory group pursuant to the parameters of the resolution, as well as to authorize the allocation of $500,000 to facilitate the activities of this group. Are there any questions or thoughts as to the resolution?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I guess I just need some clarity, a little bit more clarity as to the functionality of this advisory group. And I have not been privy to these conversations early on. I'll be willing to vote for the resolution to move forward if it's something that's needed for this organization to move forward. But at the, the end of the day, I'm just not totally aware of the total functionality of this group.
Sure. Well, I think as a general matter, and Brittany, Cynthia, feel free to augment my comments, but this is simply an advisory group of a number of stakeholders around the state that operate within these, the venture capital areas, a number of subject matter experts. It is an advisory group only. The group has no authority to execute or carry out any policies, recommendations, or specific activities. It will bring recommendations to this board as it would relate to venture capital efforts in Alabama. So any work product of the group will flow back into this board for consideration.
And the purpose for the 500,000?
Brittany, can you speak to that?
Brittany,
Yeah,
are you?
so correct me if I'm wrong, but we need to do or Innovate Alabama's team rather needs to do a substantial amount of research related to what's holding Alabama back in our ability to get capital into the right hands to help grow businesses in Alabama. And that research is going to require funding. And anything to add there, Cynthia?
Yeah, the other thing that I would add, we are pretty maxed out, honestly, in terms of staff. We're still pretty lean, and some of those funds will be used to support consultants who have more experience in this area, just to help us with the collection of that data, the reporting of that data, analyzing that data to be pushed back to Innovate Alabama and then to the board for approval. So it's essentially to cover expenses in order to just support the function and get it going. Any allocation of funding that we want to do in terms of investing, those things will all come back to the board. This is just for a group of experienced individuals, knowledgeable individuals to help us guide where we want to go from a venture perspective. If you look at what we've done with SSBCI, we had a lot of federal guidance in terms of how that program is structured. We're trying to create something similar for the state fund and capability that we're looking at. Does that answer your question, Senator Singleton?
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. I'm okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Who would be, and maybe I missed this, who would be identifying these individuals, and what experience are we referring to? Because I didn't know there was a whole lot of venture capital experience in the state of Alabama.
So I will try to answer that one. Brittany, if you want to jump in when I give my response, you certainly can. I will tell you, Representative Daniels, that I am actually pleasantly surprised of the experience that we actually have in the state. If you look at the performance on SSBCI, I think we are pleasantly surprised that we do have more resources than we thought we had. I think the challenge is convincing those resources to think about tech initiatives and make those investments in tech initiatives versus and within the state versus outside of the state. So in terms of their qualifications, we don't have specified written down guidelines, but what we were looking for is experience of individuals who have transacted, who have invested either in the state or out of the state, because we do have some participation from California that we're looking at. No final decisions have been made in terms of who would be supporting, but we do have a short list of individuals who do have experience with venture, with high growth companies, and that entire ecosystem.
Okay, yeah, I'll be curious. I guess for me, I'd like to kind of see who those folks are, where they and it relates to the state and their experience.
Sure.
Really before feeling very comfortable about this, and making certain it's just not a Birmingham dominated group. Just to be frank with you.
So Representative Daniels, in terms of the makeup of the entity pursuant to the resolution, the chair of the initiative would be designated to be Brittany Somerville. The chair would have the authority to nominate members to the initiative and would certainly take suggestions, I know, from board members. Those nominations will be subject to approval by the corporation's chief executive officer and the board chair. So that would be lay out the process to establish the membership of this advisory board.
And I'll restate my point. I just want to make certain it's not a Birmingham-led effort. And that's kind of what I've been seeing a lot of, and I just want to make certain that for the record, that is reflected.
Sure. Any other questions, thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, this is Dave.
go ahead.
I've engaged with Cynthia on this topic and suggested a name or two that might be good from the Huntsville region, and I'm hopeful that we can expand the folks that are on that from this region. There's a fair amount that goes on here as well, and I'm with Representative Daniels on this topic. There's probably been more of this kind of thing going on in Birmingham. At the same time, there's a lot of opportunity here in Huntsville, and we need to have the proper representation.
I agree with you guys wholeheartedly, and I don't think that if we were to isolate the committee to one specific area, that we would get the outcome that would be best for the state. So that is absolutely important to us that we're getting a very nicely represented, not only in geographic location, but also area of expertise, whether it be somebody who's been more on the investment side, somebody who's been on the high growth side, and also their location. So it's very important in creating this. Definitely hear your thoughts there and agree with those.
Yeah, it's just a different domain of the type of companies that are in the two locations or the multiple locations across the state, really. So we just need to make sure we're as diverse as we can be there.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely our intent.
And making certain there's also reflective of the state of Alabama as much as possible, not compromising the expertise, but asking the question, because I would like to make certain that I'm able to give you some suggestions based upon the criteria, and us not say we couldn't find anyone, but making certain that we're not compromising the quality, but we're also being conscious that it needs to be reflective of the state as well, from an ethics standpoint.
Absolutely.
Right, any other questions, thoughts? Appreciate that discussion. All discussion, helps everybody orient to be successful in pursuit of positive outcomes. So appreciate all the comments and welcome any more. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? All right, we do have a draft resolution that can be presented or moved as presented, or certainly could be amended. Here, a motion to approve, not a motion, or a motion to table.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay.
I want to abstain.
Okay, we note the abstention of Senator Singleton on this vote. I'll call the nays again. Are there any nays? All right, hearing none, that motion has been approved. Back to you, Cynthia.
Okay, next up on the agenda is actually, Brittany, there is another information item that we want to discuss. This one is not for action. This is just for your information as we sort of explore what this opportunity could be.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Somerville?
Thank you. So as interest and momentum continue to build across the state as it relates to venture capital, the need to explore strategies for us to identify and create and launch venture backable companies is becoming more crucial to long-term sustainability of the success. So as such, it's necessary for us to build a sustainable pipeline of companies and talent needed to support these companies. I'm sorry, someone just let my dog in the room. That was not a good idea. Innovate Alabama would like to explore the concept of developing or participating in an innovation studio to address this need. Birmingham's Harmony Venture Lab, which is also known as HVL, has an existing methodology that has been successful in building pipelines of venture backable companies, as well as the supporting network and go-to-market strategy for these companies. This was actually referenced in Shannon Allen's talent update as well. So based on the current industries within the state, the focus area of the project would include the following markets: fintech, construction tech, health tech, and industrial tech. The project would explore the feasibility of these markets and will consider additional markets as we gain more knowledge about market trends within the state of Alabama. Early indications based on existing efforts and for these markets are where Alabama's companies have been able to scale, have been able to raise money with venture, and also have been able to exit both in private equity and in mergers and acquisitions. Because these companies are venture backable, corporate partners will be identified for funding and matched with funding provided by current and future Innovate Alabama investment programs like SSBCI. Combined, this approach is another strategy to provide much needed capital for high-tech, high-growth companies that meet the eligibility criteria. So under the I'm not going to get those letters right. The Innovate Alabama Capital Access Initiative, the IACAI umbrella, we aim to explore this concept over the next quarter as a board, and then offer a proposal at the December board meeting to initiate this project. So certainly more to come on that in the coming weeks.
All right. Thank you, Brittany. So that's just a potential proposal on the horizon, to clarify.
Right, that's correct. And more information to come, just something that Innovate Alabama is exploring as a way for us to have a greater impact on startup companies and early stage businesses in the state.
Okay. Thank you for that. So board members, more information to come on that. Feel free to refer questions or thoughts to Brittany and to Cynthia as that potential proposal is evaluated. So thank you, Brittany. Back to you, Cynthia.
Okay, it's time for lifestyle and outdoor recreation. So Mr. Harper, if you would give us our introduction, please.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. CEO. Thank you so much. And this always gets me excited to talk about this part because this is one of our programs that I think blends the most work-life balance to everything that we do. So excited to share some updates with you all today, specifically around that momentum that we've built with the Seek Alabama campaign. You might recall we launched this brand earlier in the summer, and at SLOS Tech, we had a key moment of activation and bringing CKL to life. Personally, I had the privilege of experiencing it firsthand, including a Seek-sponsored bike ride. And I can tell you confidently that was a very overwhelming response in a positive context. Energy and enthusiasm that we witnessed at SLOS Tech as a result of this being rolled out were just proof that we're on the right path, and our campaign metrics so far reflect that same excitement. Looking just a little bit down the road, Innovate Alabama will be present at Fast Company's Innovation Festival in New York, and I'm confident that's going to take us even further. I'm honored personally to be able to attend that as well, but I want to go a step further and highlight a fellow board member and our very own Ms. Brittany Somerville, who's also going to be featured on a panel as part of our programming at the festival. I think it's going to be a really fantastic opportunity for us to showcase Alabama's innovation ecosystem, especially on the national stage and potentially internationally with the recognition that the Fast Company receives. Additional to that, at the end of September, we'll be announcing outdoor recreation funding opportunities through the Innovate Alabama network. This will be a significant step in fostering growth in that sector specifically, with the alignment of our broader mission to promote outdoor recreation across the state as a means of attracting and retaining talent. Looking forward to seeing how all these initiatives unfold. And I'm going to turn it over to TC McLemore to provide a little bit further update on SeekAL campaign launch, Fast Company Innovation Festival that's upcoming, and other upcoming outdoor recreational opportunities. Mr. McLemore, take it away.
Thank you, Abe. Good afternoon, board members. I'm pleased to be with you today to share our latest progress on our outdoor recreation initiatives, particularly focusing on our Seek Alabama campaign, our national media strategy, and our upcoming round of outdoor recreation grant opportunities. We debuted our Seek Alabama website, social media channels, and brand in June, launching the campaign's paid ads the day of the previous board meeting on both Meta and YouTube platforms. This campaign has been well received and embraced by our online community of ecosystem partners, innovators, and outdoor enthusiasts, both in-state and nationally. Due to the successful launch of Seek, we've been invited to participate in the Confluence of States, which is a network of state-level outdoor recreation leaders from around the country, each employing outdoor recreation in different ways in service to their home states. I'm always proud to share that Alabama stands apart as the only state leveraging its outdoor recreation assets with the mission of recruiting and retaining talent. As Abe mentioned, and as everybody's mentioned, Seek Alabama was really launched in person at Sloss Tech at the end of June here in Birmingham. And it was a quick and early highlight of the campaign. The response was overwhelmingly positive, reinforcing our belief that this brand will serve as a strong vehicle for promoting our outdoor rec opportunities. For 2 days, we showcased Alabama's outdoor rec offerings to the audience of innovators, investors, and students. Attendees were able to experience the beach on Dauphin Island from 3rd Avenue North, thanks to our immersive VR headsets. They were able to explore the density and diversity of outdoor rec assets our state offers through our interactive asset map on our Seek site. And they took back to their incubators, accelerators, and campuses some fresh Seek swag, deepening the adoption of the brand by our core target audiences. Also, as Abe mentioned, the Seek-sponsored bike ride at Sloss Tech really perfectly encapsulates the energy and spirit of the brand, drawing in participants who were eager to engage in what Alabama's outdoors has to offer. We had about 30 bike riders, including Abe, who woke up early to join us that Friday morning. Not only were we able to break up the conference with a fun activity and get folks outdoors, we were able to showcase Birmingham's Red Rock Trail system. We heard feedback from riders like, "I didn't know Birmingham had this." This sentiment captures what Seek Alabama has already done in a short amount of time. It's uncovered Alabama's well-loved but maybe hidden gems, allowing them to be discovered by our innovators and entrepreneurs. I'm excited to look for new ways of infusing outdoor recreation experiences and a sense of place while highlighting Alabama's outdoors whenever we're convening students, innovators, and entrepreneurs in markets throughout Alabama. Early metrics indicate strong engagement and interest, not just locally, but also from potential visitors and innovators looking at Alabama as a destination. We're building a solid foundation for continued growth. Campaign launch to date, the brand has accrued about 11 million brand exposures, reaching approximately 1.2 million people. And this is really just through the end of August, so not really capturing through today. Since the website launched in mid-June, it's experienced over 38,000 site visits across 31,000 unique users. The owned articles on the site, the long form owned articles with really great images featuring the Alabama's beautiful destinations, those have driven 38% of site traffic, while our diversified social content strategy has garnered over 1,800 post engagements from over 18,000 impressions. In just 2.5 months, we've cultivated a social community of about 800 new engaged followers. So really happy with Seek out the gate, and of course excited to take it on the road. Looking ahead, Innovate Alabama's presence at Fast Company's 10th Annual Innovation Festival in New York next week will be a pivotal moment. I'm looking forward to seeing several of y'all there. Through this event, we're showcasing Alabama's innovation ecosystem to a national audience, positioning our state as a leader in both innovation and outdoor recreation. As part of our activation at Innovation Festival, we're taking the Seek Alabama experience on the road, literally, from the VR headsets immersing you in Alabama's Gulf Coast, to interactive asset maps, to the Seek Alabama Storyteller Overland van parked in the middle of Manhattan. Innovators at the festival will experience all that Alabama's outdoors have to offer. And here's a great shot of the Seek van in front of the Capitol that we got a couple of weeks ago, thanks to DCNR. We're also thrilled to be able to put Alabama's innovation pioneers on the national stage where they belong. Speakers from Alabama share billing on the Fast Company site, as seen here, alongside leaders like Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, Nobel laureate Jennifer Doudna. Our own board member, Brittany Somerville, will be participating on a panel with Harmony Venture Labs founder Shagan Odilana, where they'll speak on their own career trajectories in Alabama and what's led them to create the ecosystem supports for the next generation of founders. Founders like our third panelist, Tamar Blue. Tamar is a startup founder who's decided to relocate her business from Silicon Valley to Alabama and is eager to share that story of her journey on a national stage. Along with Brittany, Shagan, and Tamar's panel, we're also highlighting the work of Storyteller Overland through a fireside chat with their CEO, Jeffrey Hunter. We're highlighting Hudson Alpha's innovative work throughout the state through a podcast interview with Carter Wells. And we'll also have 2 in-state videos highlighting Alabama's unique position as a leader in innovation and outdoor recreation. I look forward to sharing each of those pieces of content through our channels, all of our channels of communication. And this is really fun. And for those of you who will be at Innovation Festival next week, you'll be able to pick up your own copy. And we have some copies here in the office. But our strategic goals for this event include building national awareness, forging key partnerships, and attracting talent to Alabama, all of which are crucial for the next phase of our Seek campaign. Fast Company, sort of recap why they made sense as a national media partner. They're the #2 leading media brand for the 18 to 39 demographic in the country. They're the #1 leading national media brand for those who plan to change jobs or relocate. And they're the #1 national media brand for those who plan to start a new business. The Fast Company audience is Innovate Alabama's audience. And with this activation and programming, we're communicating that Alabama is the place for innovators. Along with the content that I've mentioned throughout and following the festival, we also have the full page back cover of their most recent summer issue with 250,000 copies in circulation around the country. And we'll also have ad placement in their winter issue at the end of the year. Next up is our outdoor recreation grants program. There's much anticipation around this program. And I'm excited to share that at the opening of the next round of the Innovate Alabama Network, really later this month, early October, we'll be announcing new funding opportunities specifically aimed at enhancing outdoor recreation across the state. This initiative is a big step in aligning our efforts with our broader mission to attract and retain talent in Alabama. We're anticipating approximately $7 million to be available to award through these grant opportunities targeted toward projects that not only improve access to the outdoors, but also stimulate economic growth in our local communities. Funding priorities primarily focus on shovel-ready infrastructure projects, creating pathways to entrepreneurship for outdoor recreation small businesses, and generating interest among our core target audiences of students, entrepreneurs, innovators, and investors. Our Outdoor Recreation Council recently convened to review our grant application and review process, mirroring our existing Innovate Alabama network process. Innovate Alabama staff will compile eligible applications for review. Our Outdoor Rec Council will make up our review committees for outdoor recreation grants unless conflicted out. Innovate Alabama staff will average their scores to use as a basis for awarding funds. I'm anticipating high volume in terms of applications, given conversations that I've had around the state. Since this is our first round of offering standalone outdoor recreation funding. Of course, the number of high quality applications will impact the number of projects we award and our ability to award projects fully. With the now well-known Seek brand and our work in promoting these upcoming funding opportunities to communities, stakeholders, and partners, we've set the stage for Alabama to become a premier destination for outdoor recreation, and we're well primed to make strategic investment to further our state's position. As we look to the future, Seek will continue to drive our outdoor recreation initiatives. We have several upcoming activations planned that will further establish the brand both within Alabama and beyond. From homecomings to outdoor recreation festivals to innovator showcases, we want Seek to be where our core target audiences are. So when our innovation pioneers get together, we want to make sure we have a presence. Here we are in Greensboro at the Alabama Black Belt Birding Festival. I had never been. It was awesome. People from all over the region traveled to Greensboro to go birding in really remote fields with no cell reception. And Seek was there. We're looking to continue to get out throughout the state of Alabama. Next steps for Innovate Alabama's outdoor rec work include expanding our partnerships, particularly with local businesses and community organizations to create a more integrated and comprehensive outdoor experience across the state. Through the network, we'll work to strengthen our connection and collaboration with state agencies, communities, nonprofits, and educational institutions who have all been historically engaged with expanding outdoor rec assets in Alabama. I've enjoyed a collaborative relationship thus far with groups like the Alabama Trails Commission, Alabama Trails Foundation, those who are developing a statewide trail plan, and others as we all seek to grow and highlight Alabama's outdoor rec assets. As Alabama Tourism plans to launch the Year of the Trail next year in 2025, I'm looking forward to finding synergies with regional DMOs or destination marketing organizations, rural communities with potentially exceptional underdeveloped assets, and our outdoor rec entrepreneurs to build upon and market those assets to our core target audiences. And then finally, we'll be engaging with each of those stakeholder groups as we plan to convene an outdoor recreation summit in 2025. This will be an opportunity to pitch a big tent to convene on-the-ground practitioners, entrepreneurs and industry leaders, and students and innovators as we chart a course for growing Alabama's outdoor rec opportunities while helping our state's innovators grow roots. I encourage all of you to stay engaged with the Seek brand and support our efforts as we continue to build Alabama's reputation as a leader in outdoor recreation and innovation. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions y'all may have. And if not, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Harper.
Thank you, TC. Mr. Chairman, that does conclude the outdoor recreation report, and I'll yield back to you for any commentary or closure before we give back to Ms. Crutchfield.
All right. Thank you, Abe. Thank you, TC, for the update today. A lot of activity, much appreciated. So we are now going to rearrange our agenda just slightly. We're going to need to come back into regular session to adopt or consider a 2025 budget. But we have an external participant that is running short on time. And so we have an update on a matter for the board. Our legal counsel has advised that we do have a legal basis to enter an executive session that will be private to the public, and a letter conveying the basis of that legal basis has been distributed to the board, will be included in the meeting minutes. So I need to request a motion that this board move into an executive session.
Mr. Chair, I'll floor a motion that the board move in executive session under Alabama state law, that there are issues and initiatives that are qualified for executive session.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. And I will clarify before the vote that upon conclusion of the executive session, the board will return to regular session. And I'll make that note for any public viewers of the meeting today. So I'll call the vote. All in favor of moving into an executive session, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, with that, we're going to move into an executive session. If everybody will stand by until we have a signal that we're clear to proceed. All right, Cynthia, can you hear me? Or we return to our normal forum?
I believe so. I can hear you and I can see you guys. So I think we're good.
Very good. So I'll call us back into order now that we've returned into regular session and turn it back to you, Cynthia. I think our final substantive agenda item today is discussion and consideration of an FY25 budget proposal. And you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. So what you have before you in your packets is just the proposed budget for the state, $30 million for F125 2025. As you can see, the breakdown that we're proposing, access to capital, supporting the same programs, sum total about 15 million. The 5 million for capital access will ride along with the additional 2 million that we've already approved that we'll be trying to work through the Innovate Alabama Capital Access Initiative. That is a mouthful. We're going to have to rename this program. So $15 million allocated to that. On the talent side, we're looking at $5 million just to continue some of the pilots that we already have ongoing. Do outreach specifically for K through 12, and then continuing to do upskilling pilots and looking at higher ed programs. So again, 5 million there. You heard about 2 of the programs that we'll be looking to support going forward in that area. Next up is outdoor recreation, proposing the same $5 million to continue our efforts regarding the SEAT campaign. And if you recall from the advisory roundtable, they did recommend that we do an outdoor recreation summit. Like to take a look at how we can get that started during the next fiscal year. And then as TC spoke about earlier, looking at network designation grants specifically for outdoor recreation. We're allocating $2 million to the operations budget, leaving $3 million that's unencumbered, and that accounts for the full 30 million.
And the proposed budget is located at tab 7 of your packet. If I think everybody has had an opportunity to review that. I think I would say at the outset, I think it's very important that board members really understand the budget, the moving parts. I know this is not necessarily the ideal setting to go way down into the weeds. I'd encourage members to stay engaged with staff, with Cynthia and the team. I know we have subcommittee focused on our budgets and financial oversights and processes, but I open the floor for members to ask questions as related to the proposed FY25 budget as presented this afternoon by Cynthia and the Innovate team. If there are no questions, which we welcome them now and welcome them afterwards, we'll entertain a motion. I would preface any motion by reminding everybody, this is a budget to be adopted to give framework to Innovate Alabama's efforts for FY25. The budget can be amended at any time and likely will be through the due course of the fiscal year as operational issues or priorities realign or demand such. And so the fluidity of the FY25 budget as related to the ability to amend the same always exists. So I remind everybody of that fact. I would entertain a motion to adopt the budget as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final questions, thoughts, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, FY 25 budget as proposed has been adopted. This moves us into the good of the order as we wind down the meeting today. Let's see, I want to remind everybody that our next formal board meeting is December 10th. 2024 Innovate Alabama Day, as previously referenced, is scheduled on December 4th. I believe I'm correct. I know we have some in-person gatherings in the interim. Thank everybody in advance. I know all of these meetings require time, effort, and energy. And I'll come back to that as it relates to staff in a moment, but want to thank everybody in advance for that. Are there any, before I wind us down, are there any other announcements, thoughts, any issues that board members would like to put on the table before we wind our meeting down today?
Mr. Chairman, will that meeting in December be virtual or in person, or help me with that?
I think we're scheduled right now to be in person, but given the calendar, we might want to consider a virtual and would welcome everybody's feedback on that decision.
Okay, I'm supposed to be traveling, so it'd be helpful if it was virtual. I'll figure out a way to maneuver around that, but that's my request.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dave.
But we'll see you next week.
That's right. All right. I just want to thank everybody again. I want to encourage, as always, appreciate board members being involved in the processes that are occurring at Innovate Alabama. Leadership needs that involvement, needs that feedback, so please remain engaged. I want to thank the Innovate Alabama team. A lot of work goes into pulling off the board meetings, and particularly the technology, the ability to have a seamless virtual meeting in the manner that we conducted this today. I think very pleased and appreciate all the hard work that goes into that. So with that, unless there are further questions or announcement, I will adjourn this meeting of the Innovate Alabama Board, and we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to seeing you soon.